Hi, my name is Shane Foote, and welcome to Introduction to Conceptual Design in Autodesk FormIt 360. Let me show you some of the things you'll be doing as we work through this first module, entitled Creating Your Conceptual Design with a Real-World Background. You'll be getting familiar with where your tools are in the user interface, and you'll be getting used to navigating in the workspace as well. You'll be locating a project geographically. You'll be importing background images to use as inspiration for your conceptual model. You'll be working with grids and axes, and you'll be modeling. You'll be using layers to organize the project, and using the reference lines to modify objects, as well as using the measure tool to modify objects. It's important to note that the concepts you'll be practicing in this first module will likely be concepts you'll use in every conceptual design you ever model in FormIt 360. These concepts are extremely important and will provide a foundation for your success as a conceptual designer in FormIt 360. So let's have some fun learning to do some conceptual design in this engaging software platform. To begin with, let's take a look at our user interface. At the top of our screen, we have our main toolbar. Over here to the right, we have our navigation tools. And all the way to the right, we have our palette. If we were to right-click out here in the grid, we'd get the context menu. And this menu changes depending on the context or the object that you have selected. Now let's talk a little bit about navigation in your workspace. I think the easiest way to navigate in your workspace is to have something to navigate around. So let's come up here to the toolbar, and let's just go ahead and select this tool here. This is our primitives tool, and we'll come down and select this cube. When I select, I just mean left click. So let's just go ahead and click on that. You can drop it anywhere in space. I'm going to drop it right here in the middle. Just before I drop it, note how that it's snapping to the grid. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and left click to snap that to the grid. And then we'll just hit escape to zero out of the command. Now let's take a look at navigation in the workspace. Click and hold the mouse wheel to pan. Just move your mouse around while holding down the mouse wheel. Then click and hold the right mouse button to orbit. And then simply roll the mouse wheel forward and backwards to zoom in and out. Those are your basic tools and the ones you use most often for navigation in the workspace. The tools here in the navigation bar, while they're not used as often as the tools we just talked about, they're very helpful in a lot of circumstances. For example, this tool up here, this will give us a plan view of our workspace. I use this a lot. And then to get back into our 3D view, we just click on this here, which is a 3D view button. And that gets us back where we can orbit. Also, navigating in your workspace, if you play a lot of video games and things like that, and you use the WASD keys, this button will give you access to the WASD keys for getting around in your workspace. I don't use that as much, but some people really like it. And then down here, we have the orbit and swivel and pan tools. Down here is our zoom. Sometimes you might want to use this zoom tool here instead of just rolling the wheel mouse. Remember, when you roll the wheel mouse, it's an incremental zoom. But when you click on this button and then just hold down your left mouse key and just push your mouse back and forth, you get a very smooth zoom. Sometimes that'll help you get into some really tight places that the incremental zoom won't get you into as well. And then to zoom out to extents, we just click here on the zoom all button. That takes us out to extents. And then sometimes if you have multiple objects in and you want to zoom in on a single object, you'll just double click on the object to select the entire object and then click down here to zoom to selection. And that pretty much is everything as far as navigation in FormIt 360. At this point, we're ready to begin our project. So let's just go ahead and delete our cube. We'll double click on it to make sure it's selected and then hit our delete key. Maybe zoom out here and get ready to bring in our location. The location I've selected for our project is out in California, near Monterey, a place called Dolan Canyon. Let's go ahead and switch to plan view by clicking on this button here and zoom out a little bit. Now we're ready to go ahead and select the location. To select the location, we'll come up here to the location tool and select. That'll give us the opportunity to type in an address. So we'll type in Dolan Canyon, and you can see it's already found it here in Monterey County. So we'll go ahead and select here. That brings us to a map. You can see up here that we have a map and a satellite selection. So let's go ahead and select the satellite. And we'll zoom out a little bit. You can see some artifacting in here. This comes in with the labels under satellite, so we'll go ahead and select the labels to turn that off. Now this is going to be our site right in this location here. So what we want to do is kind of center that up. We want to make sure that we can see the ocean out here. If we zoom out, you can see this is a beautiful area. We're going to put our pool and pool house right in this location here, looking out over the ocean. To go ahead and select that area and crop that region, we're going to hit Import Satellite Image. Then we're just going to move it over, zoom out, center up that area so that we've got a nice crop region. And go ahead and hit Finish Importing Image.